Hi, in this video we'll be looking at some of the offline capabilities provided by RapidFTR. Now, in the ideal situation, you'd always want the RapidFTR Android application to be able to connect to the RapidFTR server at will. However, in most cases, depending on where you've deployed RapidFTR, this may not be the case. So in some of those places, you may be faced with connections with limited or slow connectivity, or in the worst case scenario, you may be faced with places with zero connectivity. So before I move on, let's just look at what I mean by full connectivity. Full connectivity refers to the RapidFTR Android application being able to connect to the internet, and as a result of that, connect to the RapidFTR server. Zero connectivity, on the other hand, just means the Android application can connect to neither the internet or the server, but most importantly, the RapidFTR server. We may be able to connect to the internet, but not necessarily to the RapidFTR server. So let's just jump straight into it. Starting with the Android application. So what happens when you're faced with your phone having a limited connectivity or no connectivity whatsoever? So these are some of the features that the Android application will provide. The first one being the offline self-signup. So what this means is you do not need to have a connection to a server to create an account on the phone and start registering children. So the way the Android application behaves is all you have to do is load the application on your phone, create your own account, and start registering children without having to ever connect to a server. In the end, you may have to connect to a server so that you can sync your data, but you don't need to have the server up front to start working with the application. So the second bit sort of flows from the first point is the offline sign-in. So assuming you started using the Android application with server connectivity, so you sign in with the username and password, connect to the server, you get authenticated, and you start registering children, you sync some data over, but then at some point you lose connectivity, and you've already logged out. So what happens then? You can still sign in with your old username and password. You will get authenticated offline, so the authentication will come from the phone itself, and then you continue using the Android app as you usually did. The only thing is you won't be able to sync data as you would when you have full connectivity. So this third bit is the continuous work when there's breaking connectivity. And the example I gave here was during sync, for example. So let's say you have 10 records and you're syncing those 10 records over a connection. And for whatever reason, the connection drops when you've only synced 5 records. This will affect the way you sync, but it won't stop you from using the Android application. You can carry on working as usual. The only difference is you won't be able to sync. But when you achieve full connectivity again, maybe in an area with a better signal, you can sync again, and only the 5 records that weren't synced will be synced across, so it won't start over from the beginning. Now, despite all that, there are limitations to this, because in the end, we're using just the phone, we have no connectivity to the server, and if we're to achieve the goal of RapidFTR, which is to do family unification, we need to share data. So how do we then bypass this limitation of using the Android app on its own? So one way we can do that is create a RapidFTR network. So what this means is I'll get a netbook which either has Ubuntu or Windows installed on it. I would then install the RapidFTR server onto the netbook, and then connect the netbook to a local Wi-Fi hotspot, probably through a Wi-Fi router you have, and then connect the phones to that Wi-Fi hotspot so they can connect to the server. So in this scenario, you'd effectively have a little netbook, little Wi-Fi router, and phones connecting within the same local area, and effectively you would give all the people in that area full connectivity. So you won't need any reliance on the internet. You can do without the internet, but then have your own local RapidFTR network running. Now, of course, some of the advantages you get out of this is you won't be paying data fees, you get excellent sync speed, and of course you'll achieve a major goal, which is you syncing data, or that you're sharing data with all the people on the network. You're not working solo on your own. Now, as much as this gives a big advantage of not having the reliance of the internet, you will have a limitation in terms of having power dependency. Now, let me just explain that. So one, I already talked of requiring a netbook. So what this means is I don't mean any netbook. The important thing to have here is have any computer that has extended battery life, so several hours at least, because it won't make sense to bring in a laptop that only lasts 2 hours, because that defeats the purpose. So that's one. Even though you have several hours of charge, you will need at one point to charge up that laptop, right? And when you're charging up the laptop, or you need to move it away from the network, effectively the network goes down. The second bit is, depending on the kind of Wi-Fi hotspot you create, you will need to power up that Wi-Fi hotspot somehow and for extended periods. So these two requirements for power do pose some limitations. So if you've deployed RapidFGR in an area without power, this may not necessarily work for you. So this gives a rough overview of some of the offline features RapidFGR will provide, and thanks for watching.